Hello, everybody, and welcome to Run to the Hills podcast, episode 110. We talked to John Harris. What a guy. Oh, you ladies are going to enjoy this one. What a guy. Done some amazing things. Thank you so much to Chia Charge for sponsoring the podcast. I did a new thing with a Chia Charge bar that I've never done before.
Oh, my goodness. Where's this going?
I mixed. I made a melange of Chia Charge bar and a Lion bar.
Ooh.
A heady combination. That was my fueling for my first long spine hike. And I Chia Charge barred it up, and then I Lion barred it up. And actually, I did even cross-contaminate. I'm not sure
I wonder if you could do a deep fried.
It felt a bit dirty, to be honest. I don't normally eat stuff like a lamb bar, but I'm trying to be like, could it need to be able to eat anything? I need to be able to eat anything. And that's not a chore eating a Lion's bar, is it? I mean, I did enjoy that chocolatey, gooey goodness. Anyway, more about that, because there's whole stories to be told. How you doing? What you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks.
You've got a t-shirt on today. Last week you were freezing, and this week you're in a hard zip.
It's still very blustery, but definitely the temperature's up a few degrees, so that is quite nice. It's a very nice t-shirt, and one team one. A friend ordered it, and it was too small for him, so he gave it to me. Very, very generous.
So your friends do that a lot. They're like, it's too small. It's good to Gary.
Yeah,
I bought this from 10-year-old. These jeans are too small.
Well, I do like a bit of children's coats. I'm doing a nice little line in children's coats. They're super cheap. But apart from that, running wise, I went to the lakes on Sunday. I think it was Saturday. Robbo, Aaron, and myself, we did a recce of to the Helvellyn. The second part of it, really, the loop around the Helvellyn, and that was good. We had DOMs. I still got a little bit of DOMs now with Tuesday. Oh, they're okay. And I was a bit surprised. I didn't think I would have DOMs, but I think basically what it is, I looked at the distance for the race, 35 miles and about 7,000 feet of elevation. I know people who have done the Tour de Helvellyn will know that's not exactly correct, but to keep it simple. So I need to do, in theory, 200 feet of elevation per mile of training if I like to keep. I always like to keep. I've latched onto this, Eddie, from somewhere. This ratio of distance per elevation. I've got no idea where is that a legitimate thing?
Yeah, it's a legitimate training tool. It is good to have your eye on it.
Okay. Well, I think it's going to be something beep then. It's not me, I don't think. But I think it's going to
Gary, they're calling us.
I think it's going to be super hard to do that, because then again, to keep the numbers really simple, if I do a 70-mile week, that's 14,000 feet of elevation. And I just can't see that happening.
No, protect your knees.
Well, yeah, where do I add that in? I'm thinking maybe then introduce a weighted hike, because I don't want to run all of that volume. And this is another observation I made after going to Helvellyn, why I've been struggling to hit that 20 hours a week exercise mark, because I've not been over the lakes and doing a 25-minute mile walking up a mountain and stuff like that.
You see, so good. I can easily hit 20 hours with a lovely hike, 5-hour hike, 3 miles.
So yeah, a few little observations, but it was really good, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm super jealous. I'd love to live somewhere where you could literally, so from where we parked the car to the top of Styx Pass, roughly 4 mile, just going up. It's not massively steep, and Styx Pass is a pass. It's not like the summit of Helvellyn. But yeah, to have the luxury of having a 4 mile climb, that would be awesome.
This morning, quite often, this is a good little tip, is when I do the school run, I just drive to somewhere different that isn't very far, like 5 minutes away from the house.
Yeah.
But it's start my run in a different location. So you get a little bit further to somewhere else. You just run a loop a bit different, because we live in a steep-sided valley. I end up running the same bit of path to get to the trail, and it just bores me. So I just drive somewhere different. So I start my run somewhere different, and then I do like a loop the wrong way round. Oh my God. This morning, it was so beautiful. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. The colors were amazing. And I was like, I'm so didn't see a soul, just the cows and Lindy. And it was just, I was like, I'm so lucky. I sent Bryn a picture of this most beautiful, I mean, the sort of scene that you see in like the Instagram shots of like the North Face athletes. You're like, and Bryn sent me one back of him watching this PowerPoint in his office. And I was like, awkward.
Yeah, I think the light at this time of year, when you catch it, you get that golden hour. Wow. It's,
and the sun is just coming over the mountain.
Yeah.
It's like that cold, but not freezing, and it's not raining. Anyway, digress, carry on.
So yeah, that was good. But yeah, just really, I don't want to say jealous. Jealous is not a very productive word, but I just wish I could get over to the lakes more. I think I'll have to go down to Castle Dean and do more of those hills in there. We can still get the elevation to miles ratio, but they're just not the long climbs. But workouts wise, I did 10 minutes, and then it was 5 times 3 minutes, and then 10 minutes, all at threshold pace. I'm obsessed with threshold pace. For people who are running, let's say the Lake 100.
Bear with us. It's okay.
Why am I really running a threshold pace? I'm a bit puzzled by that.
It's like a scale, isn't it? So if you push up that threshold pace, so that your long endurance pace gets a little bit faster. That's the sort of, that's the, I don't want to say the science, but that's the sort of reason why we do this faster stuff, so that our longer stuff can become faster. We can work at the same intensity at the same heart rate, but we're going faster. But I also think a lot of it for ultra running is mental strength as well. Being able to do these hard sessions, knowing that you've done those hard sessions on the start line, and when things get tough and stuff, bit of grit, bit of resilience, a bit of like, I can do hard stuff. Ticking those
It's not on your face.
Yeah, snot on your face, a bit of the dribble, you're going so fast you can't even wipe the snot off your face, because if you move, it's over.
It's when you go to public places and you get home and you realise you just got loads of carnage all over your top.
Every day when I go and pick the kids up, and I'm like, I sort of get out the car and I'm like, what am I appropriate? What am I wearing? How bad do I smell?
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, that's always a... But then we did a medium long run on Thursday, modified it slightly because a couple of the guys in the group had killed their marathon or half marathon. So we just did a kind of a medium long run for that. So all in all, just under 80 miles, 8,000 feet, and about 18 hours of exercise. But yeah, I'd like to double my vert, but without trashing myself. I think, maybe swap an easy day for a hike day, but then it's hours of time away. So I'm really trying to think, where the hell am I going to fit this in? What did I do Sunday? Yeah, Marshall on Sunday. That was awesome. Saw some listeners out on course, which was good. But to get up and to get to my Marshall job, basically I had to get up at 5:30. And I was out the door, I think, at 5:30 with Rex. So that was pitch black, head torch run. And even though I went to bed really early, I was just smashed for the rest of the day. I don't know how people do a super early alarm call and then function for the rest of the day. Hats off and salute you, everyone who does that. And then another vlog broke the internet, and that was
Has there been another one out? Have I missed one?
Yeah, Monday. Yesterday evening it went out.
Because I've got to do a half-hour warm-up before my race tonight, so that will be it. Can catch up.
It's only about 12 minutes, so you could...
perfect.
It seemed perfect, yeah. But yeah, they are. Why? They're taking a lot of time.
I'm not hearing any whining. It's your own choice.
That told me. Okay, right. Oh, I've actually chatted on quite a long time there.
I know, you've had a good week.
I have had it really does feel like a full and rich week. Have you had a full and rich week?
Oh, such a full and rich week. I've got so much to, and actually there's been requests for more twittering from us, Gary, so I'm not really ashamed for babbling on. Right, last time we chatted, it was the eve of the time trial race, so I did that. Holy smokes. So one girl couldn't do it, she wasn't very well, so you meant to have 6 in the team, 4 crossed the finish line. One girl bailed on the day, not very well, fair enough. We started the race, 5 of us. And it's just so hard. The computer, it's just so hard to get like one person will sprint off. And then maybe this is because I'm the worst. Like I seem to be like, I do my turn at the front and then I get dropped right to the back. By the time I got back on, and then I'd be like, Eddie next, Eddie taking the lead. And I'd be like, oh my God, I've only just, there was a girl that was a little bit more tired even than me. And she kept saying, I'm going to stop. And I was like, no, don't, please. Keep going. Oh my God, otherwise I'm gonna hang on. Anyway, I managed to hang on. I think only there was a hill at the end where I had to say, okay, just rein it in a little bit. And then the last 3 minutes, and the lady on the radio, so there's a lady on the radio who's not racing, who's telling us what to do. And she was like, right, all out. And I was like,
is she on a bike as well? She's just gone for a poodle, or she just...
No, she's just watching the computer stream.
Wow, this is like proper. I can't believe it.
She's like, okay, ladies, just all out. And I was like, oh, I've been going all out for the last 45 minutes. Wow. And I just had to like, it must be so bad for your eyes, because I'm like willing myself to stay with these cyclists. Anyway, I hung on. I'm sure they could have all done a ton better without me. And then as we stopped pedaling, and because like with running, I guess, well, no, I think I've done it running too, but the cycling I stopped, I literally was like, I was like, oh my God, the lactate was so bad. That was like, even though the actual race wasn't as hard as the other races, because you're in that, like, you were doing this like circle of like heinous effort, but then you can let the heart rate come down a bit. But the last bit I worked quite hard. And I reinforced myself as the number 4 in the team. Definitely the number 4. The others were so strong.
But did you have 5 starters? I know you're supposed to have 6, but you had 5 starters.
5 starters. So again, you get that little bit less of a rest then if you're not going to be in it, because you've got the rest. You got that little bit of rest. I mean, it's massive. It's a bit like trying to do like sets of so then you're pulling at the front for like 40 seconds or so. It's a bit like doing like a 200-meter sprint. If you had 6 people in the train, it'd be much easier than anyway, it was fun, enjoyed it, done it. This week tonight is 6-7 laps of this course, and there's a massive sprint every lap. And I tried it yesterday and I was like, no, Eddie can't sprint, my poor legs.
I think you're doing awesome.
I think it's better I'm just going to be useless. I'll try my best.
Do they have rules? Is it quite strict and you could do something that would get you disqualified?
If you're too strong, you get disqualified. But you have to have a heart rate monitor on. I don't know what else other rules that there would be. So you can't suddenly just jump in. You have to have this power file of shows like previous races and stuff like that. Anyway, running wise, last week it rained all week. I joke you not. If anyone's ever been out in the mountains, and the mountain rain is different. It's like a sort of continuous it's just like shower of constant icy horrendous water. It literally rained 8 days, 9 days. Oh God, it was heinous. Anyway, it was great training for all my kit, my waterproof socks, Dex Shell, thank you, dear Lord. I didn't wash them a week. I just dried them out and I wore them for everyone. They were amazing. I did my last set of non-weighted hill reps, 6 by 5 minutes. Felt great. I mean, let's face it, I need to get a t-shirt. Nothing is as hard as a Swift race. So 6 by 5 minutes, I was like, easy this.
Well, that's good. I think that's good mental training. And we talk about this quite often. I always draw back on a really rough race or a rough workout to go, I can do this.
Yeah, I can do that. Was nothing. 6 by 5 minutes in the pissing down rain. I could do that. Went off. I did about 18, 19 hours of training last week, and I did every single minute, apart from my Swift racing, by myself. It was quite a long, lonely week, but that's it. That's life, isn't it? Long run in the snow, Gary. I was a bit worried about going up. I wanted to do my loop, but I knew that there'd be a lot of snow on the sort of pass bit to get over. I didn't know how deep it was going to be, how much rain, blah, blah, blah. So I did sort of ups and downs. It was still lovely to see the snow. And the biggest thing I started my first weighted hike with my rucksack. So I put all my mandatory kit into the rucksack. I think I've got everything now, but I didn't put any food. I didn't put the big food in, which is going to weigh a lot. Went off to do 3 hours hike.
What was the weight? Sorry.
It was 3.5 kilograms. My kitchen scales are a bit iffy, and Rory had to like hold them, like balance it. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm pretty pleased with that weight. Yeah. I've got to add in, I didn't put my spikes in. I got to find those. They're somewhere. And I didn't have the maps in because I don't really want to carry the maps because they'll get soggy and... Yeah. But I think that was everything, even like the poo shovel, the tissues, the matches for the stove. I think I pretty much had, so I'm pretty happy. I really don't want it to be over 5.5, 6 kilograms.
Yeah.
Gonna try. So yeah, put it on. So excited about my first hike. Beautiful day. And off I went with my Lion Bar and my Chia Charge bar. And I was going to try and have my heart rate monitor on. I want to keep it really low heart rate, but also just have a little look to see how fast I could comfortably hike. Of course, I then was like starting to like, right, I'm going to be able to do 4 miles an hour. And I didn't want to do any really long ups. Everyone listening will be like, we'd love to be able to do really long ups, but I wanted lots of ups and downs because that's much more Pennine way than, 2 hours up, 2 hours down, which I can easily do. So sort of like trying to choose a route, set off, happy hike. I was like, this is amazing. I've never hiked like the path that I run every day. Okay. I was like, I actually don't think I've ever walked on this path. It's mind-blowing. You can look around the river. It's such a lovely time. I'd taken my AirPods because I thought I might want to listen to something, but it was a hunting day. So I was like, I'm not actually going to listen to anything.
Your wits about you.
You've got to keep your wits about you. So off I go. Anyway, walked down to town, 3 or 4 miles in, looking at the scenery, and went absolute ass over tit in the biggest load of cow shit.
Oh my God.
Man. Oh my God. Not only did I fall, and I felt like from my face, like one side looked like a Marvel character. Because I had my poles, I didn't put my hand down, and I like slipped, and it went all down my lovely Montaigne spine jacket, sky blue. Oh, cow poo all the way down.
Oh my God.
Come out of my poles, like I really hurt my fingers. I just had cow everywhere, like literally like all down my cheek, all over my hands, all down. I was like, oh, this hike is rubbish. I hate hiking. It was so sad. I was like, okay, stand up, shake it off. It really hurt too. It really hurt my shoulder. I was like, and I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Imagine if this was the spine. I had 5 more days. I was absolutely covered in gas. So one thing my luxury item is definitely going to be some sort of cloth, which I can wipe, because I was like, it was like all over my hands. I was like, gross. Oh, this is hideous. I tried to get the best off, and then it was all down my handles of my pot. I was so sad. Anyway, gotta get on with it. I was like, I really smell the cow poo, and the flies were like circling around me. Anyway, carried on. As it dried, I was able to like fluff it off. Anyway, carried on. Lovely hike. I did find like I didn't really actually notice the weight. I guess because I'm used to like skiing with a rucksack on and walking. The only time I really noticed it was when it was really steep, and I didn't know it also whether it was at the end 16th, 17th, 18th hour week of training. So I was like, this could just be fatigue. The steep stuff, I was like, it's quite hard. Actually, I was looking at my like gap pace. I was better hiking uphill than on the flats. Like I was faster moving.
That's interesting.
So I need to work on my flat walking speed like we all do. But I managed 2,000, I think it was about 2,300 feet and just over 11 miles in 3 hours. And the conditions were very, like it was the mud, cow shit. It was bad. It wasn't fast walking conditions, a lot of it. It was a lot of boggy stuff. And every time I saw bog, I'd like, walk in the bog. Yeah. Intention.
Test the socks out.
Anyway, I halfway through my hike, I thought I'll message Bryn and tell him and send him the cow and the poo emoji, because that would make me laugh. And so I got my phone out, sent that message, carried on the hike. Anyway, last last 10 minutes, I was like, I am so good at this. I'm so good at this hiking. I'm going to listen to a song for the last 10 minutes, finish off my lovely walk, went to search for my brand new AirPods.
Oh, no.
And they had disparud. They had gone, where have they gone? You all know where they are, don't we? We all know where they fell out. Anyway, I was like, oh, and Bryn had just bought them for me because my other ones, the batteries don't last for longer than 5 minutes. I was like, now, do you tell your beloved that you've lost them, or do you just order them and replace it?
Oh.
I was like, so the last 10 minutes, instead of listening to a lovely Take That song, I was like, oh no, oh God, he's good. And he gets really annoyed about that sort of thing. I was like,
That'd be quite stressful 10 minutes.
Stressful. Anyway, got home, felt fine. Like I had a recovery shake and electrolyte, and I was like, I feel a bit tired because I've been outside in the autumn air for 3 hours, but this is easy. Came clean about the AirPods, everybody. You'll be pleased to know I came clean. I couldn't do that. Our marriage can't be built on lies. And he was like,
you only lie about trainers.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So he said, should we go out and look? I was like, oh. Anyway, he spent all afternoon he took my Strava and went out and he was like, what were you doing? Because I did all this like bog searching down around. He was like, you're like, why are you coming down that bit of the path? Anyway, he spent about 3 hours looking for them. I then spent yesterday looking for them, no sign, gone. It's very hard to find AirPods when there's leaves and everything. Oh, so sad. Anyway, yesterday, woke up, Gary, I could barely come down the stairs. I've not had that bad DOMS. So my butt cheeks were so sore. Oh, I went on a recovery run. I had to keep stopping and rubbing them, being like, oh my God, my butt cheeks are so sore. I'm not good at hiking. I was like, oh my God, I've got such a lot of work to do. I hope other people get sore from hiking. Maybe it was because it was so muddy that their glutes were working really hard and they're not used to. I actually found like walking downhill I wanted to find it much easier running downhill than walking downhill. Anyway, oh my God, honestly, yesterday, the sorest I've ever been. Wow. From like, not from a race. I was like, I feel like I've done a race yesterday and I just hiked with 3.5 kilograms on my back. Oh my God, I've got a long way to go.
That's awesome.
This lady's got a long way to go. And then I had to go and have a massage. And I was like, you gotta be gentle on my butt cheeks. It felt a little bit better. Anyway, I didn't do my evening session then. I was so sore. Instead, I did some yoga, which is against my religion, really. I was like, I cannot do a little half. I can't do any more. I was like, I'm just gonna have to do some stretching. That's how bad it was. Anyway, hopefully this time next week when I tell you about my next hike, there'll be no cow or poo emojis and the DOMs will be a little bit less.
Yeah. I think it will be. I think it's funny how we're both suffering from DOMs.
Gosh. If I didn't live here, if I'd been like, okay, I live in London and I went out for a hike, I could understand it. But I was like, why am I? Yeah. I also think maybe I didn't respect the recovery enough. Like I didn't drink enough and I got really maybe dehydrated. I didn't drink enough during the hike. Anyway, as the weeks progress now, the weight's going to go up and the distance is going to go up. So there's no time for butt cheek pain. We're going to get on with it.
I think DOMs, you adapt quite quick to the DOMs. I noticed this with the Bob Graham round, getting back over there and going down some big slopes and then thinking, my goodness me. But then before you know it, you're okay.
Yeah, let's hope it's better today already. Ready for the sprints tonight.
Oh, wow. It's non-stop, isn't it?
Non-stop. Right. Talking of non-stop, we've had the huge race, Spartathlon. I think this one should be on your radar, Gary. This would make excellent podcast content. Do you know anything about Spartathlon?
Well, not the kind of historical elements of it, but yeah, I've definitely heard about it. Dean Carnassus being on the show and stuff.
Oh, of course. Big fans of Dean. It's 40th year. It's of the race running, the 150-mile route between Athens and Sparta. And now there's quite a big GB team contingency that go out. I think it's really well organized. They have a great time pre, during, and post the race. Right, the men's winner now. I'm just going to use, like I do with my French, how I say this. Zizimopoulos Fotis. I don't know. From Greece, he overcame an early wrong turn. He actually ran an extra 7K and he still won. He was behind. I think he ended up in 12th place after he got back on course, and he still won in 21 hours, recording the third fastest time in history and an hour faster than he did last year. I reckon probably, from what I've read, he made the wrong turn. He got back on course and then he just chugged away, overtaking, but nice and, well, not steady because he'll be running at a real clip, but he methodically worked through the race then. And I wonder if actually that was in his advantage, slightly slowed him down. And
some people try and make it up too quick, don't they?
Yeah, but he did a great, that's amazing. So if ever you take a wrong turn in your local trail half marathon, you get raging, think of Zizimol Publis. I can pronounce it completely differently that time. In the women's race, Diana Zaviza from Latvia, who lives in Australia, won in 25 hours and 3 seconds. What did I say? Australia?
Yeah.
Slight difference. A Latvian living in Australia. She actually lives in Austria. Won in 25 hours, 3 seconds. Second best time ever, only 15 minutes off the course record. Smoking fast. I think it was also the second hottest year. I'm going to read you a little race report in a minute. Notable GB results. Andy Day was the first guy in 27 hours and 53 minutes. And we actually have from the women's race, Ali Young. She finished in 4th place overall, first British woman. And I actually got sent a little report on her race. Do you want to hear it? It's good.
Go for it, yeah.
Good. Okay. Here we go. It's a write-up. It's from a crew member of my buddy Ali's Spartathlon experience. Camille Heron, I'm going to read it word for word because I don't want to edit someone's words. Camille Heron dropped after a near miss with a van. It's very hard to put into words what an experience crewing the races. So here's a few stats from Ali's run. 153 miles, 36 degrees, 285,000 steps, 10,213 feet climbed, 28 hours, 57 minutes, 4 seconds, 13,621 calories burnt, of which they think she consumed 7,500 calories. Average pace, 11 minute, 21 second mile. 370 runners started the race, 200 DNFs, 75 aid stations, 15 crew stops, and 1 Ali Young. Love this. Okay. To witness Ali run sub 29 hours, we were aiming for sub 30 on the second hottest year of the race was astonishing. With an hour to go, I did the calculation 6 times out loud as I thought I'd seriously miscalculated. She was just so fast. At the start, we dealt with a race-threatening squeaky trainer. Like a tap dripping while trying to sleep, the noise would have really impacted her focus. With Vaseline and a hairbrush handle, we managed the offending part and fixed it. Incredible. The start was at 6:45 a.m. The sun came up, the race was on. The heat was incredible, 36 degrees, 8 hours in. Ice was at a premium, runners struggling very early on. She cooled herself at every aid station. She pushed on with the pace plan, a little quick for the first marathon, perfect for the second. She was attacked by a stray dog, slipped down the back of the mountain at 101 miles. She struggled to keep any food down. She persisted, fought hard, listened, and communicated. Sunrise came and one single cloud gave respite from heat for about 90 minutes. She was on for 30 hours, continual recalculation of minimum pace needed to hit target. Brain fog made this very hard. We'd been awake for 26 hours by now. She was marching up the hills, apologizing to us for not running. And he's put the laughing emoji. And ran the rest, averaging 2 minutes per mile faster than needed. 6 miles to go, and she was on for sub 24 hours. Surely not. 9-minute, 24-second average was needed for an hour. Her quad was spasming. It was 35 degrees, downhill. She'd been awake for 30 hours, running for 28. She pushed on, managed an 8-minute mile, averaging 9 minutes, 15 seconds. Then she needed to walk. With 20 minutes to go, we didn't know where she was. Tracker said she had stopped. Heat exhaustion, sunstroke, muscle tear, dehydration, monkey emoji, hands over eyes. Will this be her first DNF? Not Ali Young. The tracker had failed. Not our Ali. With 6 minutes to spare, she turned the final corner. Annalise spotted her white cap bobbing away. Sarah started breathing again. I got the Union Jack ready. I had to shout over the crowd noise and the children running with her that she had time to take the flag. We ran the last 100 meters behind her. She slowed a little so we could keep up. The cheering was immense. We were so proud of her. The tears flowed. She had done it. 21st overall, holy smokes, 4th women, 3rd fastest time by a British woman ever, her best run ever, in my opinion. This is Sparta. There's nothing quite like it. Thank you, Ali, for the experience. The day after the race, there is the peculiar tradition of the Sparta Mile, 1 lap of the running track in your pants or naked. These runners are mental. Anyway, Ali did that too.
Oh my goodness me.
I love the story.
That is awesome. Wowzers.
Well done, Ali. And you'll be pleased to know she will be coming on the show in the next few weeks.
8-minute mile.
Loaded. Well done. Well done. Anyone who did Spartathlon or any of those races. Very similar to Spartathlon. We had London Marathon as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I thought I'd have loads of FOMO because I was supposed to be there myself. And you know what? I wasn't, I've used jealous quite a few times in this show. I wasn't at all. I quite enjoyed watching people's journeys and days. It was good, but some listeners had some great performances and they've been really kind and shared them with us. Ashley Holbrook, he had it awesome. So he wasn't at London, sorry, he was at Chester and finally cracked the 3 hours, 2 hours, 55 and 25 minutes. It's an awesome, do you remember the first time you broke 3 hours, Eddie? It's, you know.
Yeah, I always have done, Gary. Don't like to go any slower. Actually, the first marathon I ever did was London Marathon with my mum when I was 18.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It was quite a an unknown, that was quite a big, like, she's 18 and she's running the London Marathon. Yeah. And I think we broke 4 hours, but pretty impressed with that myself. Cheeky Ashley jumping on the London Marathon thread. I like your audacity.
Third time of asking him to do it. I think that's really, really awesome. And then Elaine Batson to 3:53:59. The last few miles weren't pretty, but after a summer mostly on the trails, she's very happy with a good for age time. Awesome. Well done, Elaine. Yeah, that's good. When you get that good for age and hopefully...
you can keep it then as well, and then you're in. Once you get in as well.
Well, you have to qualify, and then it depends how many people apply for the application. The good for age time can kind of keep getting.
For women, it's once if you get the time, you're in.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it is. And then Melanie Horan, she congratulated Ed White. I know Ed, he's part of the Northeast Marathon Club, and Melanie too. They're all part of this Northeast Marathon Club movement. That sounds like it's a bit more than what it is. But Ed, 350, he's a V70, and that is not only good for age, he's got, if he ever wanted it, and I'm not too sure if London was a qualifying race, but he's got a 30-minute buffer for the Masters, the England Vest, if you wanted that too. So yeah, to be V70, smashing out that kind of times. And Ed runs a lot, it's not like he's saved himself for that one moment. He's like, say, this marathon club, people just rock up, seems to be every week and smashing out a marathon.
Thursday, smashing out marathon.
But then, Dave saw Melanie giving Ed a shout out. Then Dave Aliano gave Melanie a shout out, and she ran sub 4 at Kayla Marathon. And that's quite a tough course, Kayla. It is all on nice trails, but you're going to get probably a couple of 1,000 feet of elevation around the lap of Kales Lake. And yeah, Dave Aliano was there too. Dave might be, forgive me if I'm wrong, Dave, he might be an ever present. He's done every Kale. There's a bunch of them. Obviously, every year getting a bit fewer and fewer. But yeah, well done, everybody there. Then last but not least, Andrew Enticknap. He ran a marathon largely the opposite of London, Thetford Forest, no buildings on site, 30 competitors, and a wooden medal plus a banana at the finish. That sounds awesome. I've seen a lot of these wooden medals. I don't think I've got one, but yeah, banana at the finish. That sounds awesome, actually. 30 competitors. That's pretty intimate. And I wonder how it felt actually over a marathon. That would be quite a quiet affair. Big shout out to our Patreon members again, Eddie. And as we promised, at the end of September, all the Patreon members got entered into a Chia Charge random prize draw. And I Googled...
Wheel of Fortune! Wheel of Fortune! That's what I've been thinking. Like the last 24 hours, I've been like, what is it? What is it? Oh, it's the Wheel of Fortune.
I Googled it. It's some kind of... I can't remember what I used, actually. But then this website popped up. So I typed everybody's names into this random Wheel of Fortune and did the spin, sent Eddie the little video I took via WhatsApp, and it's amazing.
If you can post that on the Patreon page, because it's hilarious.
But then it's sharing people's names, isn't it? So I didn't want to.
Data protection.
Yeah. So
all right. But it is great, and it goes to a few of you were very close.
Click. Yeah. It was pretty exciting. And thanks so much everybody who's joined Patreon. We've got over 20 on patrons over there, so that is it's a big help for us as we kind of progress with the podcast. The winner was, and I'm pretty sure Jonathan's done quite well with our Run to the Hills competitions. It isn't fixed. But Jonathan Zink took the win. So well done, Jonathan. Some Chia Charge goodies will be on the way to you. And if you listen to this show, I'm pretty sure we've got your address. But reach out again just to remind me where to send your bits and bobs. Thanks, everybody. This week we caught up with not only John Harris, he goes by the real John Harris over on Instagram, and he ran from London to Liverpool raising money for endometriosis. Yeah, a really important charity that not many people know about. So it's super important that John did this, and it's super important he came on the podcast too to spread awareness and share his story. It was really great having to catch up with John. I hope you enjoyed.
We are delighted this week to welcome John Harris to the Run to the Hills podcast. In July 2022, not that long ago, John completed a 370-kilometre run from Liverpool to London in 85 hours. Is that 80?
75, let's have it right.
No, I was thinking, I'm sure I've written 75 hours. Wow, you didn't just jog around that. He steamed around that in support of the charity Endometriosis UK. We're so looking forward to diving into, that setting yourself a challenge and then doing a challenge like that. Mind-blowing. First of all, though, we are testing out a new way to start the podcast. And as John actually has his own podcast, and I checked out his Instagram, he's quite a funny guy. He's got a bit of banter. We're starting the podcast in a new way. And so we're testing this out on you, John, if that's okay. We're going to start with a couple of icebreaker questions. We're not even going to let you speak before I ask you these questions. What is your most used emoji on your phone?
Probably the cry laugh emoji, but it's the most overused emoji because nobody's ever cry laughing. Outside of that, and as an ultra runner, probably the poo emoji.
Cry emoji and poo emoji. Yeah. Also, you can get away with anything. I also like the wink one because you can say anything and follow it with a wink. And be
love emojis.
I love an emoji. My eldest child has just been given a phone. Now he's at secondary school and WhatsApp and has discovered emoji, but he doesn't really get the inappropriate emojis and the stuff he says. He just sees them as like the bitch and like, I think we need a bit of emoji. Second question before we get into the deep stuff of the interview. If you could bring back any fashion trend, what would it be?
Oh, well, I sort of 70s. I live by the mantra of clashing is smashing. So colourful, if it's fashionable, if it's popular, it's not fashionable. So I like to dress, I don't want to say controversially, but I like to dress in bright colours. That's a great question for me. I would say 70s. I wish I had hair that would go appropriate with the 70s as well. But yeah, definitely the 70s.
You've got a good head of hair. Yeah, John, I think you could...
I know, but...
Yeah.
I'd like it to be okay to have like dreadlocks or... Not that it's not okay, but to not work appropriate, shall we say. 70s mad, crazy.
In your work, can you get away with a little bit of flamboyant dressing, or do you have to save that for the weekend?
No, I can get away with it. I recently wore a butterfly shirt and a fuchsia pink jacket. As long as it's got a collar and a lapel for the jacket, then challenge accepted.
I love that. I think more people should do that. Up the trend. Come off. Get away from H&M and I don't buy.
Fast fashion.
What? Where else do you buy clothes from? I don't know. I don't buy clothes. I just dress in my uniform of this black gilet and a pair of jeans and a jumper, and it's not as exciting.
Well, I try. It's very difficult, especially for running stuff. I find if you walk into a running shop, the men's section is more often than not just loads of different shades of grey. So if
grey, black, or maybe a teal.
Maybe a teal. If North Face have just done the teal thing, and I'm even that. So I have a rule that if I see something brightly coloured, I will just buy it and just have a sort of a slowly rotating catalogue of bright clothes, because it's really difficult to find bright stuff.
Is it Happy Stride? They're a brand. They pretty much
Happy Stride.
They do.
So yeah, discovered them a couple of years ago. I've become quite good friends with the two guys. They're wonderful people who run the company. It's just a family company, Pete and Sam, and they are the brand. To be honest, the brand that I wish I invented or came up with, because it's just bonkers colours, and that they have a lot of fun. Those guys. So they are the one brand that I'm pretty loyal to, actually.
It's funny you say about like the apparel generally is pretty grey, but then you go down to the footwear and pretty leery down on people's feet. Unite, all your Vaporflies, some awesome colours down there. But yeah, should we move on and talk a bit about the challenge? Why this challenge, John? Raising funds and awareness. Yeah, could you share with our listeners a bit about the challenge and why this challenge?
Yeah, of course. So it was 370k from London to Liverpool for Endometriosis UK. Now, London to Liverpool, I should correct that. It was supposed to be 360k, but there was a couple of wrong turns, as I'm sure anybody it'd be weird if there wasn't. Why London to Liverpool? Well, Endometriosis UK charity headquarters in the centre of London. So we started there, and Liverpool, because that's where my wife and I are having our fertility treatment.
Okay.
At a fertility centre called Care Fertility in Liverpool. I wanted to do something stupid. I've been running ultras for, actually just last week was my 2-year anniversary of my first ultra. So I'm still relatively in my infancy of it and still learning. So the ramp up from 50k to 370k is relatively short, but I wanted to do something stupid. So I asked my mates, what would you do? And a lot of my friendship group's based in Edinburgh, and they said, I'll run to Edinburgh. And that felt stupid. But we didn't have an emotional tie, sort of, my wife and I, to Edinburgh. So then it's a similar-ish distance from London to the Liverpool centre that we're using. So it was sort of born out of that. And I'd done a couple of marathons and a bit for charity, but for charities that weren't deeply affecting myself. It was affecting friends or things like that. And spoke to my wife, and we wanted to do something extreme for endometriosis, because it's caused her an obscene amount of pain for 10 years. The average diagnosis is 8 to 10 years for people. 1 in 10 women have it, but it's still relatively untalked about. It's getting a bit more press now, but we wanted to do something a bit wacky. So we came up with this and then decided to do it in one go, because if people open their pockets, it needs to be weird, and they want to see the when I've
they want you in pain. They want chaffing. They want
exactly.
You can't just jog around with a
or if it's easy. And it came sort of out of that, and then it took about 7 months to plan it. Because we wanted to do it right. So I'm very close and work very closely with the charity, because we weren't just doing it for a bit of publicity. We wanted money and also all the immeasurable stuff like the awareness, and if it helps one person and gets one person to go and seek a diagnosis and whatnot. So we put together a team and did all the charity thing and Instagram takeovers and all of that stuff. So it took about 7 months to put together. And then on July the 28th, we started.
Is there a reason, sorry to go back a bit, is there a reason why it takes such a long time for diagnosis? I think you mentioned 8 years on average.
Yes, there is a reason. One is education, and and to be totally frank, a lot of GPs unfortunately don't understand the disease, and nor should they, because at the moment, because there isn't the education for them. So a lot of people go and to be blunt, with bad periods, and they just get told it's a bad period, and then they go and deal with it for another year or 2 years or whatever. And that's the main reason. And then, so there's a lack of understanding and education about it, which is a huge thing that the charity are doing to improve. And then, you know, people, you have to be pushy. So my wife got sick of it and decided to just, you know, don't get angry, get even. Yeah. And just started pushing it. And we had to eventually go through private healthcare to get it, which is not A, available for everybody, and B, not as it should be. Yeah. So she just got pushy, and that's what I've encouraged everybody who's asked me a question through the publicity from this challenge. I said, you've just got to be pushy, and you just got to say, no, it's not that. And also talking about it, because even I think men are notoriously useless at talking about their personal issues, but women and my wife's friendship group have been a little bit as well. So they don't talk, and they all just have their own thing that is bad or whatever. But actually, if you share, you learn that perhaps maybe you have got something abnormal going on and you need to go and push for a second opinion or a third opinion or a fourth opinion. So yeah, NHS Scotland have committed to bringing their diagnosis time down from, I think, 8 to 10 years or whatever it is to, I want to say 2 years. NHS England are yet to get on board for that, but it's going in the right direction, but they're still a little charity. So that's why this whole thing was not just about money, but about sharing and improving awareness and telling people and getting people to talk about it, because it's a perceived taboo. It's not a real taboo. Yeah. You know, these are things that happen in people's bodies and people's lives, and everybody's got something going on, right?
It's super important. We had just a few weeks ago, it's the first time I'd heard about cuddle cut, and just having these communications is so important to share. And like you said, the communication, everyone's got their own struggles, but yeah, if we can just share it. Was it a route that you just kind of piggybacked, or was it something that you designed yourself?
I designed it myself, and it became pretty clear fairly early on that I have no route planning experience or abilities.
Well, it became clear during the challenge or as you prepped?
During, mainly. But it was set, and I'd set the thing up with open tracking, and I'd told people where to meet. The whole point of the route was I was trying to go through various towns that had a reasonable train link to make it accessible for people who wanted to come and join. Because as you will well know, in the ultra runner community, people see something doing something a bit weird and wonderful, and they'll be on and come and join. Yeah. It just so happened that the weekend the run was on was one of the many train strike weekends. Oh. So it was basically a complete waste of time planning that route. But whatever, this is all part of the fun. And yeah, a lot of it was the Grand Union Canal. A lot of it was the Grand Union Canal. And then the other bits were basically, I ran a lot through Milton Keynes, okay, and about a marathon on, I think it was Friday morning, about a marathon on an A road at about 3 a.m. And, 3 a.m. A road time is just lorries. And they are just steaming past you, what feels like about 5 millimeters.
And their wheels are like...
it was horrible.
Yeah, and you're tired. And
that just went on forever. But it's all part of it.
It did sound when I was kind of been looking at some of your Instagram lives, and there was a lot of traffic noise. I expected this little idyllic Grand Union Canal, little waterways. There's lots of traffic zooming past. Before we get on to how the race panned out, how did you train and how did you prepare for such a, it's a massive journey and non-stop as well. It wasn't like a stage race where you were sleeping in a hotel. The plan was to keep going.
Nah, hotels are overrated in these sorts of things. You want to really find out some stuff about yourself, I think. I did a 250k race in March in Sri Lanka, but that was over 5 days, which was sort of the catalyst to really getting this going, because we'd had like basic plans in place. And then I changed coaches, got a guy called Sam Village to coach, who... Again, and this goes the same for all of my crew. Everyone bought in and got to know my wife and the story and the reason for it. And then so I was basically on a run-walk plan. and just distance from about April. I got a little injury from Sri Lanka that I got sorted out. And then in the 8 weeks before, the thing that I total trust and total faith in Sam, which I think you have to for any coach that's preparing you for a big thing.
Yeah.
So in the 8 weeks, the heaviest period was in an 8 week period in the build up, which I did 6 ultras and 4 marathons, I think, in about 8 weeks.
But flying by the seat of your pants there.
Yeah, but I was preparing for 370k, so it was non-optional. And to be, I ran a marathon. I ran a marathon 7 or 8 days, I think 8 or 9 days before starting, which I thought was, gosh, there's no taper there. But because I was going so unbelievably slowly for the entire run, I didn't really. It was more, and my legs needed to be ready to go long, not to go quickly. So again, total faith in him, and without that coach, there's a 0% chance it would have gone like it did. So I became a total subordinate and listen. I did exactly. I missed maybe 1 session.
Oh, you're the come on board. Come over to Edwina Sutton coaching. I love green spots on Training Peaks. It was basically a long, build the mileage, loads of long, slow miles. Any strength and conditioning, any faster pace stuff in there?
Yeah, so I basically was doing 1.5 on average sessions a week from January. I didn't put a value on it before that because I just never got around to it. Really, one of the I'm too busy, all that nonsense. It definitely makes a difference. And mainly injury prevention. I didn't get injured during the whole thing. And yes, I've lost a load of speed and everything from plodding for months on end, but ultras aren't about speed. You don't look at your watch during an ultra. So yeah, strength and conditioning. I could not exaggerate the value of that anymore. I was pretty religious. I was pretty healthy and sort of stuck to it, and not like weighing my food healthy, but like my wife eats a lot of vegetables, so therefore so did I. I was very lucky with sponsors for nutritional support and all of that. So everything had to come together for it to go well, and did come together because, like I said earlier, I'm still relatively new to ultra running. So, I needed a lot of stars to align for me to be successful in this. And they did.
You aligned them, didn't you? Because that sort of preparation and planning and sticking to a training plan is aligning, slowly putting those stars into order. And I'm sure there was a bit of, if your wife was going through what she'd been through and what she still is going through, you were like, I can do this, I can't.
Well, exactly. It's always more difficult for somebody else. And, if I can go through 75 hours of pain, she's had 10 years. And I know that's all cliched, but it's actually true. So, one foot in front of the other.
I loved your Instagram live update, and I have to say the energy did decline over the duration. It was quite good. How did it go? Obviously you completed the challenge, awesome, but there'll be loads of little stories along the way. Yeah, how did it pan out?
Yeah, how long have you got? Again, it started magnificently, and arguably actually running through London was the worst bit because we had to get out of London. It was stop start, and I had all of this nervous energy and everything built up, and we were still running slowly, and there was a decent pack of people, but it was traffic lights and crossing roads and all that nonsense. And then the first spanner in the works came about 15k, and one of the girls, friend Jordan and I'm doing the social media, fell over in the most nonchalant fashion you've ever seen. I can't describe how slow and undramatic the fall was, but we were on this sort of gravelly path, and she completely split her knee open. Ooh. It must have like kneecapped to like a small pebble or something, and it split. It was probably about 4 inches.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was amazing. So thankfully, there's 4 of us together, and all I said, in hindsight, was very rude, but I just said, "Can I get that bottle of water you're carrying for me?" And
no, you're heavily. It'll be okay. Move on.
I know. But again, she did, and she came to the finish and everything. So that was the first sort of spanner in the works, because then again, the crew did all of this behind the scenes, but all passwords for endometriosis social media and everything had to be exchanged. Well, she ended up having a general anaesthetic, but was still working, doing social media from the hospital. And so that happened. Got up to Watford, and that was only 35k in. So, I mean, I was still fresh as a daisy at that stage. And then it was basically Watford where the canal began. And then it was, I can't even remember the order. I got all the way up to Leighton Buzzard in the first stint without really having a stop, which was about 85k. And I felt amazing. I was desperate to keep going. But like we just discussed, you have to listen to the people because it wasn't a race. If this was a race and there was 100 people doing it, I'd like to think I would probably have done it a bit quicker, but it wasn't what it was about. And there was people joining at certain times and whatnot. So I had maybe an hour horizontal up at Leighton Buzzard, some food, a big massive plate of mash, sausage and mash, depressingly unbuttery mash.
No, was it smash? Was it the drop?
It wasn't smash. But it was, it just wasn't as juicy as I was hoping. And then that's when your alarm goes on. You're woken up from an hour kip at 1 a.m. to go and run. And that's when it starts getting a bit funky.
You're a bit stiff already, and you're like, I'm not even halfway.
Yeah. So I wasn't even a quarter of the way. Again, I was still in pretty good spirits at that time. Like my stomach hadn't gone, and my legs were okay just because of volume of training and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was when I got up to, I want to say Tamworth, when when it started getting a bit, I had to get a bit creative with some toilet stops and stuff, and people running, and because it's important to know, I didn't spend a single minute by myself on the whole run.
Did you enjoy that? Was that quite hard? Because I know that I actually, when I'm deep in an ultra, I want to be by myself. If someone comes along and goes, hiya, what races are you doing this year?
Yeah.
Punch them in the throat.
Well, yes, but I had to repeatedly remind myself and be reminded that this was a charity run.
Yeah.
Be friendly.
That people are giving up their time. There are people with endometriosis, people I've never met, there was an old family friend who came to run 200 meters with me. When you take a step back and think it's not about the time, it's just about finishing, then it's okay.
Finding that energy though in the run to then
yeah, I totally lost my voice because I just talked the entire time. So I talked for 75 hours. So I totally lost so I did a speech to go right to the very end. I had to do a speech and whispered into a megaphone, and the room had to be completely silent, which is a bit embarrassing. I wanted to say thank you to everybody. So yeah, it was about Tamworth. It started getting a bit weird, but the whole reason to say,
have you run through the night before?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable running through. I did a lot of training. I did a lot of 3 a.m. training because got a job, so I had to do a lot of my long runs at 2, 3 in the morning. Well, 3, 4 in the morning. And I quite enjoyed the night because there's less people to interrupt you. Not that I hate the general public. But yeah, the reason for saying I was with somebody the whole time is because as ultra runners are well versed in, you often need to get a bit creative with bowel movements. And when you're with people all the time, and people often that you don't know particularly well, you just have to say, it's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming. But this might be a bit of a gaseous 50K that we're doing together.
Once you've done a couple of windy pops, once it's out there, then you're fine. And they've heard it once, you're just going to let it go.
Do you know what triggered the tummy troubles?
No. And I mean, in all the seriousness, I got fairly lucky. I think I didn't have major problems. My medical team, that makes me sound a lot grander than I am.
Oh, I go with it.
My medical team of two people who
with a compete.
My mum with a tuba grip. My medical team, We're a little bit worried at one stage about renal failure because I was just weeing loads. But much more entertaining was the other end. So that about Tamworth, which was Saturday morning, about 2 a.m, I've got vivid memories of that. That's when it started going wrong because I was trying to get to a parkrun to do parkrun in the morning. So up until I got Thursday, Friday. I got 2 and a bit days.
That's pretty good.
So that's quite a long time before things start going south.
I'd made start line 1-for-1 race, and my stomach was all over the place.
Again, nothing new. I didn't try anything new in about the 4 months before. I was pretty set with my nutrition.
What was your nutrition? It's one of the questions, so we'll jump in with it in now. What was your fueling plan?
Yeah, so I was trying to get between 50 and 90 grams of carbs an hour, which, as you guys will know, is a lot harder in reality. But I generally used Morton gels and then the Morton sachets of carb drink, and then a load of Tailwind for all my liquid stuff. And then for the first couple of days, there was a plan, and then it became a what can I stomach? Yeah. So again, I did have some smash in the van. Loads of pot noodles. I don't want to see them for a while. And then, the classic Haribos and whatnot. And then once it started to go wrong, it was a case of Rini, who was sort of tracking all my food, was like, he needs to get food in. So just tempt him with anything that he'll have. So I ended up having the full McDonald's, large chicken nugget meal, chips, which probably I wouldn't advise, but I had a large chips and I had 10 chicken nuggets. So I got a load of calories in. Yeah. So
I bet that was the first time Rini McGregor endorsed chicken McNuggets.
It was. There's a photo. Rini couldn't actually join. She was sort of from a distance, but one of the girls who is also a dietitian and ran with me, there's a photo of her holding a 20 box of chicken nuggets next to me, looking totally disheveled. So yeah, I followed it pretty well. One of my favorite stories of the whole thing, I'll tell you now, is actually near the end, but it's a nutrition-based story. So I was up in, there's about 40k to go to Runcorn, so about 70k total left. And one of my friends joined the run at 1 a.m. or midnight or something. He had joined after a 2-day knees up in Norway, in Oslo, and a night out in the Northwest. So he turned up not sober, and it was just me and him for this section. In hindsight, and I'll go to the end of the story quickly. In hindsight, it became the nonsense that I needed because it made me switch on, because I was basically babysitting. But at that stage, I was only comfortable with Haribos and Pringles. So he gave me a handful of Haribos, and I said, look, I no more for now. 15 minutes later, I said, can I have some more? And he'd eaten this entire bag of Haribos because he was drunk and desperate for food. That was his kebab, basically. I then had some Pringles. I said, look, another 10 minutes. And I turned around and he poured the the rest of the Pringles in the bin. So I was like, right,
Thanks.
great. And there's a picture of him after running about 40k, and me, and when he finished, I was 355k in. And if you didn't know what either of us looked like, there's a picture of my wife like cradling him, holding him. He said, "Can I have a hug?" And I'm sat there, chatting away, whatever, looking reasonable.
Going, all I wanted was a Haribo. Oh, it's all I got to got.
Oh, legend.
So yeah, it stays with me. It's a story anyway.
Cool. I saw actually some pictures. You had 2 watches. Was there a reason for that?
Yes, I actually had 3. I had one of the Garmin Enduros in my pack as well, because purely for selfish reasons, I wanted a single Strava map.
Classic.
I didn't want stage 1, day 1, or whatever. Yeah. I had, and obviously we had all battery packs and everything. So every single one. So my left watch was this one, which is my favorite. It's actually a bit old. It's a Fenix 5 now, but I love it. And then on my right watch, I had one of the solar powered ones. and then I had the enduro in the back. Like I said, because I was desperate to have that single map.
Have the map,
and I do, so it was totally worth it.
So it's definitely worth it. I look back on some of my races where the watches died, like 5 miles to go. So yeah, that's great. What about last one from me, Eddie? Before favorite shoe from the challenge? Do you remember one shoe fondness?
So long, slow Asics gel Cumulus 23s. I think I was in mainly. I had 3 pairs of them on rotation. I went to trail shoes a couple of times. I wear the Nike Pegasus Trail, whatever their latest version is, but they got a bit heavy. Great shoe, but got a bit heavy. But they've got a big toe box, which was great. And then I actually put my Vaporflies on a couple of times because I just needed to feel something different.
But I put them on plate when you're walking though. Did you get your 4% out of that?
yeah. Fastest mile of 12 minutes. So that was totally pointless. But I put them on because I just needed. Walking's obviously a bit rubbish in them.
I don't have any, but I do have some carbon, not quite carbon, but they do feel quite. They give a bounce back, don't they? That when you're tired. Oh.
Yeah, it was just a change it up really, but yeah, I lived in the Asics, just super comfy. I trained in them, and then like I said, I had 3 pairs, and as you know, changing socks all the time, so it feels new. And so they were. I will never move away from those shoes. I absolutely love them for long, slow stuff.
Cool. Did you have a pacing plan, or did you just go by feel? Presumably, with all these people, you had to kind of keep to a schedule of some sorts.
Yeah, I was pretty blunt with people that I would run at the front of the pack, so I wasn't, because it's like subconsciously you'll chase whoever's the quickest. I was, for the first day and a half, 2 days, I was on a 25-minute run, 5-minute walk strategy, just to gather some energy. That eventually went to a 20 and 10 strategy, so everything was in half-hour blocks the entire time. I didn't run a single. I tried not to run a single mile of the first 100 anything close to 9-minute miles, because what was to come was going to be horrible. And then I would mix up that 20-10. I would do 10-5, 10-5, or whatever. And then the tireder and tireder I got, I told people I was with, and I said, you need to just direct me. I just need to focus one foot in front of the other. And then it was only on the third, because it took just over 3 days in terms of 24-hour blocks. But it was only on during the third 24 hours that just wasn't working. So I just let the person with me come up with a bit of a plan. But the whole thing was to get break the back of it with a plan, stick to it, and then
when it all goes to pot, just zone in to the finish.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you sleep? How much sleep did you get?
About 3 and a bit hours total. I didn't actually want to sleep. I think I said earlier, my first time at Leighton Buzzard, but in hindsight, it was a sensible thing to do. Could I have done it on less? Possibly. It was weird. I had a 20-minute snooze at one stage in the middle of the day when the van was absolutely roasting, and I woke up like I'd just been in a sauna, but I then felt good for the couple of hours after it. So
I think, like you said, if you're not racing, then have a bit of sleep.
Exactly. And I would like to, one day I'd like to do the Thames Ring 250 and try and go without sleep for that. Because I tried, because I think this ended up in miles. It was about 230, I think 370k is something like that. And I tried to put myself on the leaderboard of a 200, like tried to extrapolate out to put myself on the leaderboard of a 250-mile race.
Yeah.
I think I would have done okay. So, yeah, no.
You need to hit Paul Mason up. He's very familiar with the Thames Ring 250. Did he do the double? So he did 500, I think, on that route.
Yeah, this year, yeah. I'm good friends with John Stocker as well, who is, I think, course record holder there. I mean, I'll very small chance of me ever chasing him down. But, yeah, I kind of wanted to hate, a little part of me wanted to hate running after this thing, get fat and play golf. But turns out, still love running.
Of course you do. What highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows? on these ultra runs? Have you got any vivid memories of the high and the low?
Yeah, the last official sort of checkpoint was Runcorn, and my wife was there, and a load of my friends were there to run like the last 25k or whatever it was. I knew as soon as I got to Runcorn that it was done. There was no chance of me not finishing the last 23k or 25k. So that was class, and the start was amazing. The charity CEO came down. Loads of friends and family came to the start. So that was pretty heartwarming, really. And that it just gave me an enormous boost. There was so many little highs and so many people that turned up I didn't know were turning up. There's a friend who I'd met at the Backyard Ultra this year. Ran with for 2 laps, drove from Kent to run 50k. Wow. A friend flew down from Scotland to run the park run with me. Park run, I must say, park run was a massive high because they made a thing and I didn't come last, which was amusing.
Which park run was it that you jumped into?
Cannock Chase. It felt like a really obvious fundraising opportunity. And it was. We made a few hundred quid there because it's ready-made customers. Yeah. So yeah, that was brilliant because I had my biggest low just before parkrun, trying to get there the night before. I just sat down on the side. There's a video of the 3 girls I was running with dancing around. And I'm just sat there full grump. So
I'm still amazed that you managed to run with people like the whole way and be polite and you're an excellent ambassador for polite and courteous.
It won't happen again.
Do you think when you finished that you achieved what you set out to achieve? Did you have a feeling of fulfillment?
Yeah, huge feeling of fulfillment because we made knocking on the door almost £20,000 for the charity. Amazing. And I've been to the offices of the charity since where we started. They're a tiny little charity, so hopefully it makes a massive difference. And also, I proved to myself that it was possible. My parents, who were in the crew, who are not sort of ultramarathon au fait, if you like, I think had a few doubts about it because again, I'm not really built for ultra running. I'm quite heavy. I'm 13 stone. I've only been doing it for less than 2 years at the time and stuff. So it had to be stupid to raise money, but I also wanted to prove to myself, and I did. And because of the charity thing and all the stuff that came after it and all the compliments and people being very lovely and everything, I didn't really get post-run blues.
That's interesting.
Because I was really expecting them. And somebody said, I made it what turned out to be quite a poignant quote. After somebody said, "Did you get post-run blues?" And I said, "Well, I try to live my life in multicolour. So what's one more?" Not to realise, and I know.
When you said it, were you like?
And I didn't know it was coming. I thought, "Oh, I've absolutely nailed it." But it's absolutely true. I absolutely, of course it was horrible, but I loved it. It was so much fun. Of course it was very much type 2 fun, but it was class. Like people, turns out there's loads of lovely people still left in the world. There's loads of lovely things that happen. The body can do some cool stuff. Yeah.
It can do terrible stuff to itself. And we've interviewed quite a lot of people that have done like challenges that they and what I always find astounding is people like you that do them by themselves off their own back. And it would be so easy for you to be like on a canal in the middle of the night, second night, and just go, what am I doing? But everybody always talks about the kindness of the strangers, and that's what makes the challenges is meeting other people and people giving up their time, and that's the real inspiration. And I bet it gave your wife an amazing feeling of she wasn't alone, because that's the big thing about this illness, isn't it? Is that you feel very alone, and it's so liberating, and she must have felt like in such a circle of love. And
well, that was one of the things I think I touched on it earlier. All of the crew got to know her story a little bit and got to either knew or got to know her, and that was pretty heartwarming. And hopefully, like I said, it proves to her that she's not doing this alone. And obviously, her and I are going through this whole fertility journey together and everything. but I can't experience the physical. Cause I am healthy, which is great because it's one less bridge to cross. But she can't. I can't go through it, so I've got to. I wanted to do something.
Yeah.
And to go off at a complete tangent, you talk about the kindness of strangers. One of the funniest interactions with a stranger, we ran through, I think, Nuneaton at about 2 a.m, and some fella fell out the slug and lettuce. And of course, there's 4 of us with running packs on, and I've got an endometriosis T-shirt on and everything.
Nuggets down your chin.
He was like, "What are you dressed like that for, you idiot?" And that was not verbatim. It was a lot less clean. And we had these little cards made with QR codes on. So I gave him one of those. I said, I'm doing a long run for charity. Would you like to donate? So I gave him one. Didn't catch his name, so he may well have donated. Who knows? But yeah, the kindness of strangers, all the nonsense of strangers and these things. That's what keeps you going.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And can people still donate listening to the story now on the podcast? Where can they find a link? Maybe reading a bit more about your story and your journey.
Yeah, the full story is on the Just Giving page, which is justgiving.com/fundraising/London to Liverpool 350. It's also on my Instagram. There's links all over it. The original John Harris.
That's where I went wrong. I was like, where is he gone? And then he was like, oh no, he's the original. He is the original. There's loads of John Davis. Do you know how many John Davises there are in the world?
I do not.
Hundreds. I was like, where's he gone? The original. He's the original. Our last question for me before we jump into Gary's favorite part of the interview, the quick 5. How is the recovery going? Was it pretty brutal when you stopped, when you finished? How the legs, how's the body?
Yeah, fine. I had when I go longer than I've ever been before, I have the obligatory sort of night sweats. And the first night was awful. The Sunday night, I actually sweated through 3 towels.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it?
Which was amusing. And then I went to work on Monday. So I had to get back down to London, albeit this time by train, on the Monday afternoon. So I kind of didn't have long. I wasn't injured, which was pertinent to all the training, all the S&C. And yeah, I'm doing London at the weekend with thank you, no intention of running quickly because I just haven't got it in me. Because everybody seems to say it's 3 months to be fully recovered from the real big stuff, and I've only been 2. Yeah. So, but a marathon is a marathon. It's a cool marathon to go and do. But yeah, I'm fine. I had an appetite straight away, which was a great sign. So yeah, is 1,000 kilometers possible? I don't know.
So yeah, I'm not going to ask. I was going to ask about Stanhope now. I'm going to leave that door open for you to keep thinking about.
I'd like to know actually what you're going for, Vaporflies or your ASICs on Sunday.
Neither, actually. I was very kindly given the space bar up and running. So they sent some fuel cell New Balance. Oh. And they're really nice. They're orange and purple, which is much more important than the quality of the shoe.
Outfit colour?
It's a white, blue and green vest, fuchsia pink shorts, 1 turquoise sock, 1 pink sock, purple and yellow shoes.
I mean,
any other questions?
Morton gels. You got Morton gels?
Morton, 1 Morton caffeine, a couple of Cliff Blocks probably.
There we go. I found an interesting fact, Morton gels. A friend of mine, he has a nutrition sugar intolerance. So any long distance running, he has a problem with. But the way that Morton gels are made up, he can eat them. So.
Is their sugar is broken right down, isn't it? It's the most broken down sugar that's meant to be the quickest to go into there. So they claim to go into the blood.
Well, if it's good for Eliud, it's good enough for me.
Wowzers, yeah. Cool, right. Quick 5. Oh, let's scroll down. You fan of karaoke, John?
Huge fan of karaoke.
Oh, awesome then.
I pitched these.
What is your favourite karaoke song?
It's karaoke song or set?
It's me.
What do you open with? What do you test the crowd out with?
Test the crowd with "You Raise Me Up" by Westlife.
Oh my God, you start with that. That's a big opener.
Yeah, then I'd take things down a little bit, go down to "Desperado" by the Eagles.
Classic, yeah.
And then what would I finish with? goodness, I don't know what I would finish with. Some blockbuster crowd, I don't know, a Bon Jovi.
Look at the arms waving, the light is out.
We're looking for something. We're looking for a Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer, something like that.
Yeah, something massive, or let the crowd choose. And improvise.
Super confident in karaoke.
It's important to note at this stage I have a very poor singing voice. Just a lot of beer-based confidence when karaoke comes out.
It's one thing I've never ever done karaoke. Oof, I'll be terrified.
My mate got a karaoke machine for her birthday and waiting for the invitation. And we're just going to go around for the evening, her and me, and we're just going to all night perform to each other.
Let me know, I'm in.
Okay, next one. If aliens landed on Earth and offered to take you home with them, would you go?
Yeah, as long as they've got Instagram Live.
All right, you're in Nuneaton and Subway sandwich is open. Which one are you getting? Sorry, did you do Nuneaton on your Runcorn?
Yeah, we did, but Nuneaton and at Runcorn, it was a tour of some of England's most colourful towns.
I think, yeah, you were Stoke too, yeah.
Yeah, footlong meatball marinara, hearty Italian, lettuce, peppers, and mayonnaise toasted with cheese. Next question.
Wowzers. Title.
That would take me about 3 hours to choose if I went there. I've never been to one. I'd be like, so what
That's a messy sandwich though, John.
It's a messy sandwich.
What do I put in? And John would be like, I'm in, I'm out, I've eaten 2. Let's go.
Title of your autobiography.
I actually said recently, I'm not sure if my life is book worthy, but I would like to live a life that is book worthy. Title of my autobiography. Oh, Embracing Nonsense.
Oh, I was going to go with Colours of My Life.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, and then with a quote underneath from my poignant quote from earlier, because I'm dining out on that for a long time.
I love that one. Just add a bit of blue.
That'll live forever, that. Worst job you have ever had?
Don't say now.
I was going to say no, I love my job. But the industry I work in is quite incestuous in that way that people often move around companies. Although the worst job I ever had was when I was young. I worked, I think I did about 3 shifts, calling up it was when I was at university, calling up old university alumni to ask them for money for the university. And I hated it so much that what a terrible excuse this was, but I claimed to them I had a shaving cut on my lip that just wouldn't stop bleeding, so I had to go home. Because all I used to, after a couple of shifts, it was so bad, I just turned up and just used to call my mate and talk to him for 4 hours. But it was because I learned very quickly that, hi, you graduated from this university. Would you like to give us some money? Well, no, obviously not, because you fleeced me for all of my money when I was there.
I'm still paying my student loan off.
So that was, without a doubt, the worst job.
That is rubbish. It probably set you up though. Made some. You learned some good communication skills in those 3 shifts.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very grateful to them for the skills I developed. Yes.
Always. John, thank you. What a lot of lovely way to spend a Tuesday, laughing and giggling. But in all sincerity, incredibly impressive feat. Doing it not for yourself in any way, for others. And I'm sure that it meant the world, not only to your wife, but to both the charity and the number of women. And hopefully, if anybody is listening who is worried about any pain or heavy bleeding or anything during the period, that something doesn't feel right, always good to go and check. And as John, we alluded at the beginning of the podcast, never give up. Don't suffer in silence with anything. Just keep knocking on that door and know that there is support out there. I think also in the show notes, we'll put a link to the charity pages where you can find more details as well. Huge congratulations, John, on such
Thank you.
On any other big endeavours.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing the outfit that you're wearing in London Marathon. It will brighten up my day.
Yeah,
it's the most important part. Yeah. Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Hopefully we put all the links on the show notes if you want to go and donate a little bit or want to know a little bit more about the charity. We just did a bit of stalking. We saw he did very well at the London Marathon, first half in 1 hour 32. Ooh, second half, 1 hour 47. Finished in a very credible 3 hours 19. And on his Instagram, he said he's ready to go back to the trails. I hear you. Thank you so much, John, for giving up the time for coming on the podcast. We look forward to hearing about your next adventures.
I'll be happy with 319.
Yeah, I'd take a 319 right now. Be happy with that. Yeah. Over on Facebook, we've got our Super Sapiens competition running. Go over there. This is a chance of a lifetime. 2 winners win 3 patches. Super simple. Just post on Facebook your biggest sugar crash and its consequences. Quite a few entries already. Some good pictures, some hilarious. There is a couple of stories to make you snort your tea. Competition closes the 11th of October. Becky posted a question about, because now when you go on the Super Sapiens web page, you can only subscribe to the patches, and people were like, well, I just want to try, I don't really want to subscribe. So I emailed Fitz, who was our sort of go-between for the podcast, and she said you can subscribe, but you can cancel your subscription at any time. So if you want, you could just subscribe, get your order, and they just need to make a note to make sure you do cancel your subscription if you decide not to carry on. But if you've had a go, or if you're going to have a go, let us know how you get on with the patches, and do enter the competition. Great prize there.
I saw some people on Sunday actually running with their glucose monitors on. Yeah, they were the Super Sapien ones too.
I couldn't wear mine now because of the Lion Bar incident. They would have sent it absolutely.
Whoop, there'd been alarms. I wonder if they had like an audio alarm too. I know you get a little notification.
That'd be horrible, wouldn't it? Oh, Brins would just be constantly, you were in a very high sugar, or then very low sugar. Right, we've got to move on. We've got guests to talk to. Come on, let's wrap this up.
Coming up races, Langdale Horseshoe. Now this is the final counter for the English Championships 2022. 11 o'clock start. 21k and 1400 meters of elevation. And yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted actually. If you're at all unsure about your ability to complete the course safely, then you should gain more experience and come back another year. It's pretty much black and white. It does say, it's unpleasant. Weather in October is really pleasant, and you're often in the Clag. You're on a exclusively rocky and slippy ground. So yeah, best of luck, everybody. I hope the weather is okay, because that will make an enormous difference. Good luck to everybody. No GPS apparently, so don't rock up there with your GPS. You might get disqualified.
A completely different race down south is the 9th running of the Downswick Ultra, 38 miles from St Martha's Hill in Surrey. You'll know St Martha's Hill if you ever run around the North Downs Way. It's that bit you run up there. It's a heinous little hill up to the Sandpit, beautiful church at the top, and it runs all the way down to the sea to Shoreham by the sea, crosses the low-wheeled and mostly follows its 2 former railway lines, long, straight, flat-packed trail. A great race. We believe the Downswick Ultra is an ideal first ultra for anyone wishing to step up to the distance. That's what it says on their webpage, and I would agree. Good luck if you're running any of the races this weekend.
I saw a race over in British Columbia too. Well, I mean, Canada. One of our listeners, Steve Taylor.
What are you doing going over there, Gary? What you want to do going over there to Canada?
I'd reach out. We've got such a wide net. But yeah, Steve Taylor's doing the Wanderer Moose 42k trail race over in British Columbia. I bet that'll be awesome, actually. And he's raising money for Parkinson's disease too. So great race and a worthy cause. Best of luck, Steve. More racing, Eddie.
More racing tonight. Oh, it's a tough one. And it's tough because Bryn's not here this week. And so I have to the kids don't finish their activities until like 20 to 8, get them home. I always feel really guilty. I just have to go, okay, there's your tea. I'm going in the back room. They were still awake when I went upstairs, and they're so good. They put themselves to bed and they're just lying in their bed, like reading their books or whatever. And Rory was like, who are you talking to, Mum? You were shouting downstairs. I was like, oh, was I shouting? Oh, no. Anyway, this race is quite long, so that hopefully they'll definitely be asleep by the time they finish. Around 40k, I think it is. Oh, sweet Lord, Mary, Mother Lord. So got that. It was such a relief when it's finished. And then Bake Off's on, because we were an hour ahead, and I can the calm down. Thank God that's over for Bake Off. With my bowl of Rice Krispies. This week, I'm going to do another hike. pray for the butt cheeks, and a long run as well. No hiking, all running. I'm just going easy really for the rest of my running. This is my only hard effort is tonight on my bike because, well, I can't because the DOMS is real deal. Just starting to do the long stuff of my spine training. Any more kit? I'm just thinking, I after the week in the rain, my waterproof gloves, my Montane ones, when I took them off, the liner got is that one?
These are the prisms.
No, they're not I have prism mittens, but these are like waterproof, gloves. So fingers. I took them off to do something, probably do a wee, and then I could not get them back on with the liner because they were so wet.
Oh yeah.
And so then I couldn't get my little finger in, and I was like, this is only an hour and a half outside. Oh my God. So, or a ding, 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 my spine, choo, choo, just throw money at it. So I've bought some slightly bigger ones because what a stupid thing if you can't get your hand back into the glove with the liner, and it's probably my own fault that they ask. They're fine when they're probably a little bit too small.
It's a good point. You've got to have your gloves that you can do all of your admin. You know, things go wrong, fair enough, you need to take them off, but generally you need to be able to eat, open packets, drink, and all those bits and bobs. Because if you need to take them off and it's raining and they don't go back on, and then you stop eating, it's this kind of downward spiral.
And for me, I've got history there. So I'm going for some sealskin ones next and seeing if they're a little bit better. And don't worry, because this week it's lovely, and then next week it's due to rain for the next 2 weeks. So I'll have plenty of practice. What about you, Gary?
I've got cross country again on Sunday. Druridge Bay, second fixture. It's on a Sunday too, which obviously, if you're doing your long run, let's cock that up because I'll do that I'll do the long run on Saturday. So I'm going to be tired on Sunday. Maybe I'll do the long run Friday. I don't think I'll have time for that. So it's not ideal, but it's just the way it is. Fingers crossed I can still score. That's always my goal for cross country. Got the sessions for the week or a tempo run, just only 20 minutes. That's not too bad. Then fartlek or even some 400. So I think the fartlek will be the cross country. I think that's probably good. And my sessions will be the 10 times 400 and the 20-minute threshold tempo run. I'm not too sure when I'll do those, Thursday and Tuesday. I'd like to do more strength work this week if possible, trying to fit that in. Just maybe another, I'm doing 3 at the moment, maybe 4 if I can find the time.
And the energy.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's mainly, I just find it really boring.
Do you? I love strength work.
I'm fed up with lying on my rug, doing my press ups and stuff. So
well, mix it up, Gary. Mix it up. I always try and aim not to do like a plank or a press up. I always try and think outside the box, but because I write my own, it's a bit different. But I always try and think of creative exercises, or I put 2 or 3 exercises together to make it more interesting. Than I refuse to lie on the rug and do a plank because I'm like, I hate it, and also I would never lie on a rug. The plank is very important to be able to do, to be able to progress to other exercises before anyone goes, oh, she gives me plank in my program all the time. But I like to progress, and I like to mix it up so that lying on the mat, I just go sleep.
It's a bit dull, but it's, if I put too much friction between me and the exercise, it won't happen. So I need to just get out. And like I mentioned earlier, just thinking about ways to add more vert to the week, but without smashing me up in the process. I think that weighted hike, but I'm such a running junkie. And I don't know why we hear every time on the podcast about people doing these spine race or these races across Scotland, improve your hiking. But I still can't just take my eye off running.
Get yourself a Lion bar, nice pair of poles, good rucksack, and head off. You love it.
So if you see me on Strava doing a weighted hike, that's what I've done this week. I've got an awesome vest though. I just kind of add these little metal. I look like it's some kind of stab vest or something though when I'm walking around. It's not a great look, but it's pretty good for weighted hikes. But that's my week.
Any loving coming in this week, Gary?
Well, it's old love from the other week, but you didn't read out. I've checked. There's no more new love. On my blog, Love Run got mentioned actually.
I'm gonna have to paint in the Love Run.
Yeah. But this inspirational and motivational, that's awesome. That is 5 stars. Love the perfect mix of humor and information and informative content. I look forward to.
Oh, Gary, just the reading today has just been.
Well, you want to don't stop. I look forward to getting my weekly fix, which has provided me with motivation to get out training and recently enter a trail half marathon. I will never reach the standards of yourself.
You know it's there. I will never reach the standards of yourself.
Or your guests. But your friendly banter, it was friendly. It's not friendly at the moment, listeners. And advice.
I mean to him, I joke you not, we've done some of these takes 4 times today. And frankly, the patience now has gone.
All right, now you've totally lost me. Generally makes me feel part of the trail community. Keep up the good work. Jimmy, over an Apple Podcast, Great Britain, 9th September 17th, 2022.
We are part of the community. Sorry, Gary, I'm laughing at you, but you're hilarious. I love it. I can see it coming. I can see it coming when you...
The cogs turning.
The cogs turning. Jimmy, thanks so much for your review and good luck with your trail half marathon. Let us know how it goes. It might have happened.
Best of luck, Jimmy.
Right.
That was episode.
Let's finish as friends, Gary.
But we still got 2 hours to go. We're not finished yet.
we got 4 hours with me. We better get friends again before. Do you do that? I do that with Bryn sometimes. If we don't really argue. I don't think we've ever I can't even record like a massive argument, but we do bicker. Binter, I was going to say, we do bicker occasionally, and then I'm like, well, we're going to have to say sorry because we've got to speak again to each other because another 100 years we've got to face. How long are we going? Oh, I'm sorry, and it's always me. I'm sorry, really.
I don't know. No, I don't do that. No, don't apologize. I'll go to bed on an argument.
No, you can't do that. Always have to say so. I was so grumpy the last Wednesday when it just rained and the kids were still doing all their activities in the rain. I came back in and I was done with the rain and stormed in and tea wasn't ready. The dogs hadn't been walked, but this bloody table tennis table that we won at the football thing was being set up. And I was like, oh my God. And then priorities. And Bren was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll take the dogs out. You do the tea, blah, blah. And my eldest went, you need to say a big sorry to Daddy about the way you talk to him. I was like, too right. Oh, dear, let's do it straight away. Let's pull the Band-Aid off. Sorry, I was grumpy. Let's move on. Anyway, Gary, sorry for picking you up on your...
Don't have to apologise.
Anyway, there we are. We've ended on a happy note. That was episode 110. My gosh, I need some tea after that. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you to Chia Charge for continuing to support the show, sending bars to guest competition winners and keeping Gary and I fueled. Oh my God, do I need fuel at the moment. There's going to be nothing left of me after all these hikes and runs. I might need to look at a new Mars bar sponsors. Generally being all-round super support to everyone out on the trails. I hope you have a good week, everybody. I'm Eddie Sutton.
And I'm Gary Thwaites.
And let's run to the hills.